So what
I
did I
know.
miss?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, and then we did the interview with the guys, and I think it was our best interview so far. I think you were managing the questions, and you had a
Oh,
fantastic way of putting the questions together. So, because like normally we, like collect all the questions together, and then we have to talk about like yours is very similar to mine. Which order do we do it? And just put it all to AI, and then it was like giving us this perfect logical order. And
yeah,
yeah,
and it merged some of the duplicates that we had amongst ourselves. I try to include a lot of the questions that we got in my post about it. There were so many really good questions. Like if we would have had 2 hours with them, yeah, I would have been able to include all of them. But as I mentioned during the interview, I mean, the level of knowledge and expertise that the average retail investor has, well, at least for the Rocket Lab community, anyways, is so much more than when it started. I mean, I think we all started our channels for the same reason, that we wanted to spread information. We wanted to, share the research that we were doing, because there was hardly any information out there. But nowadays people are so technical, like way above my head. Sometimes somebody will mention something that's super technical, and I'm like, I don't know, I have no idea.
yeah, yeah,
But no,
yeah.
it was good. It was literally like a Victus Hayes turnaround time for that interview. It was like, all right, you guys are rescheduled. It's happening at 4 p.m. PST. So you have less than 24 hours. Get us your questions, and we'll see you then. So now coordinating amongst all of our time zones, and getting all of our questions, lined up, and making sure that we don't have any duplicates. But we did it. I think it was pretty organized. I think, barring some of my connection issues there towards the end, I think it went really smooth. I really enjoy having those type of candid conversations with Sir Peter Beck and Adam Spice, and I think as a retail community, we're very lucky to have them.
Yeah, and it still blows my mind that we got the same access to them as Bloomberg, or what other TV channel they went on. And I to me, it just shows an incredible level of respect for the retail investor, and that they're so accessible and so transparent. And yeah, I think we should uh, this is kind of a strange episode in a way, because yeah, like we had a very long behind the scenes story. I still hope the audience appreciates it. But yeah, I think we should go over this big news. So Rocket Lab acquired Iridium. Maybe we could quickly watch the video when Sir Peter Beck announces it, and then we could talk about like what the deal means, like what's your key takeaways from the deal and the interview, and what's my, and then yeah, we go forward like that. Cool. So let's see. That is, I need technical help. Oh my god, it disappeared from here. No, it is here. It is here. Okay. And I am sharing. Okay, let's see if there is sound.
I can see
Last
it.
time I was wearing this blue jacket, I was announcing Neutron. So I guess that means
Is there sound?
there's something important to announce today. But man, this thing shrunk. Okay, we're going to go back to school for a little bit. I want to introduce you to the space application equation. So you've heard me talk a lot in the past about applications. It's where all the value in space truly lies. But in order to exploit that value to the fullest, you need a few other things. The first thing is unfettered access to space. So you need your own launch. And then, of course, you need your own ability to build spacecraft at scale. We've got that too. But there's some other really big barriers to building large, successful constellations in orbit. And the first one, spectrum. Spectrum is a finite, almost impossible to get. And of course, not all spectrum is created the same. The next thing is, it takes a long time to build and launch your infrastructure, a long time to design and build your satellites, launch them, and even longer time to get your first $1 of revenue. And then finally, it's a long time to a sustained cash flow model, a long time to build your business model, a long time to build your customer base, And it takes just that long extended time until you've got proper reoccurring cash flow. So those of you who know me will know that I'm way too impatient for that. So we found a bit of a shortcut. Rocket Lab is acquiring Iridium Communications. We believe this will be one of the most transformative deals in the space industry. It's the ultimate combination for growth. And if you think back to our little whiteboard session a moment ago, this is a deal where 1 + 1 = 3, not just 2. 1 being Rocket Lab, we have unfettered access to space and the ability to build spacecraft at scale. We also do missions for people that matter. And then we think of Iridium, they have an already operational constellation, spectrum, not just any spectrum, extremely valuable spectrum, millions of customers, and they're a profitable business. So where the 3 comes in is the result of these 2 things is a fully integrated, self-launching space superpower. One that will unlock more growth from Iridium's existing network and build new constellations to unlock new services and market opportunities. This is officially our entrance into the space applications market, a thing we've been talking about for a long time now. But to be clear, this is not the finish line. Now, we won't just continue Iridium's network as is. We're going to build upon it to unlock new markets and pioneer new space-based services. Rocket Lab's future in space applications has just been unlocked and accelerated. And with that, I'm off to buy a new jacket. This thing's too small.
Yeah, I must say I love their humor.
He did say I think he only owns like 5 jackets. So is that what he said? Like 5 jackets?
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And only wears the blue for important announcements. And last time it was Neutron. So that's how important this announcement is. And the more I think about it, I can totally see what he means. I mean, first of all, Rocket Lab becomes a profitable business with this acquisition. Like, it's so hard to believe, but we were guessing on Rocket Lab Weekly that Rocket Lab might surprisingly become profitable this year because they're getting so close. Like, just to explain it, like their income keeps increasing, but their losses stayed around 20 million per quarter. And, like if you make 100 million, then like, let's say your total revenue is 100 million and you're losing $20 million, it's like you're losing 20%, right? But as you increase like to 200 million, 300 million, the profit, like the percentage that you're losing is less and less and less. And Rocket Lab was coming to a level where it was like, okay, if they get like one good contract or, like something that's reorganized and they can recognize more revenue, it could take out this 20 million loss per quarter that they were running. And Iridium had, I think, 340 million EBITDA, which way more than outdoes Rocket Lab's loss. And keep in mind, Rocket Lab was losing money mostly due to Neutron, which also will come to an end. Mm-hmm. This means a lot of things for the stock. So there's a lot of investors who are not even looking at a stock if it's not cash flow positive, if it's not EBITDA positive. Okay, this has not closed yet, obviously, but so it will close in 2027. But when we're profitable, then we might be eligible within some quarters for the S&P 500 inclusion. There will be a whole new investor base. So there's a lot of, as you said in the beginning of the video, like de-risking of the company. Because when I first started looking at the company, when it was down in the $4 range, bankruptcy was a real issue. Like people were like, they're losing so much money, and if they can't raise capital, they're going to go bankrupt. And that was an actual talking point on, many times when we had Rocket Lab Weekly. And with this deal, this is like completely 110% off the table. This also means, sorry that I'm going on a ramble, but Matt is not here, and somebody has to ramble. So what was I going to say? I lost my track. Yeah. So also that now that they're having positive cash flow, it opens the door to stop diluting shareholders and maybe take on loans. So it just becomes a completely different business. And this is before the growth options are factored in. So I want to stop here, and I want to ask your thoughts and also the audience thoughts. Like, what do you guys think about this deal?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think in previous shows, Scott had ran the numbers and he had said, it's looking like it might be likely that we may be EBITDA positive this year, which is very exciting, right? And I know a lot of folks are saying, well, it won't close till 2027. Yeah, that's how long it took Mynaric to close, right? It takes a while to get all these things hashed out. With Mynaric, though, I mean, if we're being realistic, I think we had a lot more uncertainty because we had to jump through all of those European and German hurdles. In the middle of all that, entertained the rumor of Rainmetal. I think that's the name of the company, trying to compete with Rocket Lab. So I think there was a lot more uncertainty with that. And here we are. We have Mynaric. In the case of Iridium, I think, having the company be on U.S. soil, having a lot of the technology that they have kind of fit well with Rocket Lab, even down to the deal in terms of how the shares are going to work once we buy out the Iridium shareholders. I recently, one of the folks on Twitter educated me a little bit on how that deal is going to work. I know the S4 hasn't been filed yet, but we have the preliminary information. And I think Adam talked a little bit about it during our interview as well. So I don't see any reason why it would be an issue. And I don't think everyone would be so excited to talk about it and share the news if it wasn't a pretty much for sure thing. So 12 months, I think they said. So, June of 2027 is probably what we're looking for at this point. But it is very exciting. The company does bring a lot of things. I did not anticipate that it would be Iridium. It was not on my bingo card. I think my conspiracy theories had been leaning towards the Viasat and Equitas or Equatus. And I mentioned that to Peter at the beginning of the interview. He's like, well, what did you guys think? Who did you think we were going to acquire? I'm like, well, my money was on Equatus, if you pronounce it that way. And I'm like, and when you said the space application equation, I was like, for a second, I thought he was going to say Equatus. I was like, oh my God, I was right. I was wrong. And this is so much better because that one was still like a junior venture opportunity. And it's not a real thing yet. And there was a lot of different players in that. But I think this is going to be really, really good news for us. And I'm very excited about it.
Yeah, the same. And if we think about it, what Adam Spice said in the interview, that it's a brilliant deal because for about 10% dilution or less than 10% dilution, they doubled the revenue of Rocket Lab, and they went from non-profitable to a profitable company with a very stable, high margin cash flow. So it's really a transformative deal. But it's also the multiples of Rocket Lab come down, which makes the stock a very interesting buy again. So all the people who were like, yeah, the stock was like at an 80 or 100 price to sales, before, and it had no PE. It's like, okay, but with this deal, like the next year price to sales, I saw some calculations on X, and I think at the current price, it was like 25 price to sales, which is not bad at all. Like it's actually a good price for this deal. And my biggest consideration, I see a lot of people mention in the comment. Okay, I have to address two comments. So one of them was that somebody kept tweeting that you have the L band, and then the Rocket Lab Weekly is the W band. That was quite a good joke. I don't find that comment, but why don't I find it? It was pretty good. Okay. Anyways, and then the next one is
at Minute Mula mentioned L band plus Rocket Lab equals W band. That was good.
Exactly. So we are the W band here. That's pretty good. And then a lot of people are talking about the L band. So I don't know how many scientists and engineers we have. So just a small explanation. So you have the electromagnetic spectrum, and then you like everything is a wave, and how many times the wave goes is like per second, I think, is calculated in this hertz. And then when you have a megahertz, it means like 1 million waves in a second. And then the spectrum is very big. It includes the visible light to humans. It includes, X-rays and, many things. And then there is a small band or small part of that spectrum that can be used for satellite communications. And there is, like a higher frequency and the low frequency. And it's also divided into bands. And the L band that Rocket Lab has is, as far as I understand, it's a lower frequency band that penetrates through, rain, fog, smoke. But there's always advantages and disadvantages. The disadvantage is that it's not so high bandwidth. So, for example, like if you're lost in a snowstorm in the what do you call it, like on the South Pole, so Santa is trying to deliver Christmas presents but he's snowed in, like the L band will still reach him, whereas like Starlink will not reach him because he is in a snowstorm. So for shorter messages, like, this is my position, come save me. I actually had a friend who went trekking in north of Sweden in winter, and he had a Garmin watch, and I think he had the Iridium service activated on it, and it was basically sending his position to his family every evening. And then if he got in trouble, like it called a helicopter for him. And he actually was snowed in for 3 days. There came so much snow that he was unable to move, and he ran out of food. And then he had to actually call a helicopter, and that was via this Iridium network. And that one might not have been possible on Starlink, because the Starlink is a much higher frequency, so it can transfer more data, but it doesn't penetrate through, rain and other things. And there is one other function of this, which I think will be a very big moneymaker for Rocket Lab, is GPS. The current system of the GPS system is kind of easy to spoof, or you can also jam it, or if you send a very strong signal, it can make the other GPS symbol invisible. And whereas the L band, Iridium was working on a new PNT system, which is called positioning, navigation, and timing system, which would be like an alternative GPS system, which works is very hard to spoof, and you can't jam it, and works in rain and shine. And with today's drone technology and military technology, I can see how that is that's going to be a very I'm like losing my English in the evening. It's very late here. So it will be a very sought after capability that they can deliver in the L band.
Yeah, good job. That was a lot of technical stuff in there. I'm not even going to try to to go down the technical route with the different
stuff. This last week I felt like this meme, like when people say like, so now everybody's a COVID expert, and then now like the inflation came in and all the COVID experts became inflation experts.
Yeah.
I must admit, Iridium was also not on my radar. And then, when this came, I had to okay, what is Iridium? What do they do? And, so we like now the Rocket Lab experts became Iridium experts.
There's a lot of technical stuff in there. So yeah, no, good job for breaking it down that way. I'm not going to try to. I think one of the things that's a good takeaway, and yes, there are a lot of really good commercial uses for the products that Iridium puts out there. A lot of the comments that I keep seeing is like, oh, but competing with SpaceX, and how does this play into what ASTS is trying to do? Are they going to compete against them? And I think the one thing that Peter Beck has been very clear about is that he's not, and he's been very strategic about this, he's not looking to outright compete with SpaceX or Amazon or whoever else, ASTS. He's looking to establish a lane and stay in it and become really successful within it. And I think this is another example, because this niche of L-band, of emergency response services, of a network that's super reliable and a lot of people still use it. It's not, I don't think it's anywhere near to a point where people won't need it anymore. And a perfect example is my brother-in-law works in the shipping industry, and I reached out to him when I was doing my research, and I'm like, hey, so what do you guys use on your ships? Like, how does it work? And he said, we use both. We do have Starlink because our crews like to stream and watch movies while we're working and doing all the other fun stuff. He said, but we do use the reliable L-band services, whether that's through Iridium, or somebody pointed out of the chat, the other company that uses L-band is Viasat through their acquisition of Inmarsat. So all of these companies that are traveling, around the globe still rely on the Iridium network or the L-band network to when it really matters. And I think that that's not going to be replaced anytime soon, especially when it comes to like military comms. And one of the things that we did mention during my question to Sir Peter Beck was, how do you see yourself, building on the network that Iridium has and, eventually replacing some of their legacy satellites? Do you see yourself maybe moving away, keeping the L-band for the transmission to, the communications piece of it, but upgrading the satellites to laser-based for the communications between the satellites? And he said that's definitely something that they're looking to do. So I think having Iridium join the Rocket Lab family is a win-win for everyone. Iridium, and watching their interview with their CEO, he mentioned they've always had a lot of great ideas, but they just didn't have the capacity to fund them. I think Rocket Lab has a lot of great ideas. As a matter of fact, they mentioned during our interview that they have kind of like this venture capitalist approach with their engineers, where they say, bring your best ideas to the table. Give me your out of the box ideas, and if they're good, then yeah, we're willing to fund them. And I think that's amazing. I think they should do the same for retail investors. I think I see a lot of really good ideas being floated by the retail community out on X alone, but I think it'll be a really good marriage where Rocket Lab will be able to provide the ability to scale and the ability to fund some of those things, those great ideas, and Iridium will provide that network of comms that has been there for so long that everybody relies on and trusts. And there's a whole suite of products that we can build on with this acquisition. So I am very excited about it.
Yeah, to be honest, that was my best part of the interview, because when I was researching Iridium, they're a very mature company. Like I see Francisco is like, Miss Iglesias is talking about my super Fellrite design. Thank you.
I saw that monstrosity he put out there. He goes, we should pitch this. I'm like, have you seen it? It's like Flatellite, and it's got like the Moneric, and it's got the motive arms on it. It's got everything on it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, I did see it. Yeah. So going back to what I was saying, so when I was researching Iridium, like it's really a mature company. Like their growth rates is like 5% year over year, and I think this year it was like 3% year over year. And then obviously when you run a space constellation and the constellation is up and running, like your profit margins are insanely high, and they were actually buying back shares, and as far as bonuses. Yeah, as far as I understand, they took away what do you call it, stock-based compensation, and switched it to cash, because they had the opposite problem. They were like, we don't want to dilute the stock, and we actually have a lot of cash, and then it made their numbers on paper look worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so I was like, okay, that's great, but like we're not in Rocket Lab so that they would acquire a company that is like they're not growing. I was like, this cannot be the the end all be all for their space because I was like, my thesis for Rocket Lab is, yes, they have the rocket launch, it's really good, yes, they have the spacecraft, but the big TAM, like the big thing that is going to eclipse everything, is the space constellation. And I'm like, okay, but if they buy this mature Goliath company that is like 2% per year, I'm like, that's going to really like mess up Rocket Lab's numbers, because then like the growth rate goes from 50% to down to like 10% per year. And I asked from Sir Peter Beck and Adam Spice, and they gave super good answers. One of them was that Adam Spice said that they themselves were concerned about this, that like they have zero intention of diluting the growth rate of Rocket Lab. And then, when they gave this answer that, yeah, like Iridium actually had a lot of very good ideas, but the problem is that they couldn't make them a reality because it takes so long to get access to launch, so much money to, try a new idea. And Sir Peter Beck was like, yeah, we're going to be testing new ideas, because for them and I was thinking, it's true. Like if you have a 15-ton, Neutron rocket that is flying for a customer, and the customer's payload is 7 tons, because I think they said that's the average. I think Sir Peter Beck said that if you look at the Falcon 9 and you take away Starlink, which always uses the full Falcon 9 capacity, then the average cargo is like 7 tons that they launch on. So the point is, you have 7 tons of space. It costs them literally like almost no money to like add their little satellite on a ride share to Neutron, when there is extra cargo, in the and it's so brilliant that they're building a lot of satellites, they're building a lot of reaction wheels, and because the machine is in production, when they build another reaction wheel for themselves, they get this really cheap price, because it's not a bespoke part that they need to order from a faraway place that takes unbelievable delivery. It's like, okay, we're already making 2,000 wheels for undisclosed customer, and let's make 2001. Yeah. So I myself, I started to see this, that, oh my God, it's going to be like super, like they have the spectrum, and they can try out all these things, just send up satellites, and then the minute, it's like throwing spaghetti at the wall, and then the minute something sticks, they can just like really scale it up. And I became very, very excited by the deal.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think, as you mentioned, the Amazon deal, I'm starting to think now, because I think the Rocket Lab community has definitely grown, especially over the last 6 months alone, as all the SpaceX IPO hype joined the market. By the way, I think we've given back everything now that the SpaceX IPO gave us. So there, whatever we're at now, we've earned it. But I think we have a lot of new folks, and I'm starting to wonder, for those that haven't been in the sector for as long as we have, I feel like we need to explain the jokes again now, because they may not get it. I find myself explaining to people why a certain CEO from another space company who recently did a funny interview is not a good guy, and why that, and how that whole thing played out. Or I find myself telling people, have you watched that HBO special, Ashley Vance's special about, about Sir Peter Beck and, that particular character, or read the book? All really great references to get caught up on in the whole, story or backstory or origin story of Rocket Lab and how everything has come about. But yeah, no, I agree with you. There's lots of exciting things that, can be done with Iridium. I know one of the other things that we mentioned during the interview was, the different case uses, and you can really start to see how the vertical stack is really piecing together, right? So you have, all of the hardware. You have the recent acquisition of Mynaric and Geost, and now Motive with the mechanical arms, and now Iridium. You can start to put them all together, and kind of along the lines of Francisco Satellite or Flatellite, you can start to see all the pieces coming together and seeing what that vision or that potential outcome is going to be. So it's very exciting.
Yeah. And okay, so because of what you said, so can you guys comment here if you're a long-term viewer, or like you're here like since the SpaceX IPO? Because I actually didn't even think about this, that maybe some of our inside jokes is like flying over people's heads because they haven't been here with us. But yeah, since you mentioned it, I had this as because normally we cover Rocket Lab news, and then in the end we go into a little bit the general space industry. So I just want to play for everyone what he said.
I just like the last
Astra is the only company that can set up a rocket and launch system anywhere in the world. We also power most of the satellites that are orbiting Earth that are launched by SpaceX and other launch companies.
So they're the only company who can launch from anywhere on Earth. I don't know
They
what they can
haven't.
launch. So
They-
yeah, like
I guess I could say that too. They haven't, but okay.
yeah, that's not even the big thing. It's what he said, that we power most of the space satellites that SpaceX launches. I actually asked Grok to fact check this, and they don't power any of SpaceX's satellites. They produce a Hall thruster for satellites.
Now, when he
And-
said the satellites that SpaceX launches, was he? I don't think he was referring in particular to Starlink. He was referring to like the share right, like the other customers.
Could be.
Yeah,
could
and
be.
I don't know like what his market is for. the
They have
thruster.
104 satellites that they power, and there is like thousands and thousands of satellites.
Yeah, I know when Rocket Lab announced Gauss, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly. He also tweeted and said, "Oh, I'm looking forward to the competition." And Sir Peter Beck posted this really funny GIF about, I think it was Squidward from SpongeBob, and he's just like, "Yeah, okay."
Yeah. Wow, guys. Okay, so it looks like I know there is people from the IPO.
If you're gonna play that video, play like the last 15 seconds. That was the best part of that video.
This video?
Yeah, that video. Last like 15.
The whole video is 15 seconds.
No, okay, the very last part. Just go all the way.
This one?
Keep going a little bit more.
It's like 5
Are
seconds. Right?
orbiting Earth that are launched by SpaceX and other launch companies.
No, you missed the full interview was out there. I had posted the last part where he talks about Rocket 4 and how it's launching soon. And I don't know, it was very funny. He laughed at himself when he said that, and he looked like not even he believed that, but I'll believe it when I see it. People, I saw a couple of comments are like, well, you got to give him some credit. If he actually launches, he's been sticking with it, and won't you give him some credit for doing that? And my answer is no. He ripped off a lot of investors, and I'm not okay with that. I understand, the characters in the story who are the bad guys and who persevere and become the underdogs and come back around and make it. There's something to be said about that, right? But not when you rip off investors that way, and that does not sit well with me, and I don't think it ever will. So no, I will not give him a pass, even if he launches Rocket 4 out of Walmart, wherever the hell he's launching it from. It's not something that I'm ever going to look at and go, hooray.
Yeah, I mean, I do want him to be successful, but yeah, like there's this very fine line of, like you have to be optimistic as an entrepreneur and say like wild things to excite VCs. And then there's this very fine line when you go too far and you start giving
lying.
Yeah. And we can debate where he is on this line. I think it's one of the, because it's horrible to lie, but yeah, at the same time, if you would like put him in prison for this, let's say, then like other startups have to be more careful on what they say. I don't know. It's weird. It's a very, very weird. Yeah.
One of my favorite quotes from Sir Peter Beck, and I've mentioned it a few times. Sorry if some of you guys are ever hearing the story, but from Ashley Vance's book, From When the Heavens Went on Sale. If you guys haven't read that book, if you haven't listened to the audiobook, I highly recommend. A lot of really good history on the space sector, in particular related to Rocket Lab and Astra and Firefly. But one of my favorite quotes from that book was Sir Peter Beck when he was talking about Chris Kemp taking Astra public. And I've had this conversation with Sir Peter Beck in one of my videos. And I said, Sir Peter Beck said, it's one thing to take advantage of venture capitalists.
Yeah, I remember.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. He said, it's one thing to take advantage of venture capitalists who know what they're getting into. And it's another thing to take advantage of dads and moms who are saving up for retirement. And I think that's absolutely true. And I think it demonstrated early on that, Sir Peter Beck is a human being. And he's always reiterated that he's always very mindful of the moves that he's making and his efforts to create value, because there's real people behind those investments. And I could not appreciate that more, that and his transparency. But in the case of Astra, I have found that to be the opposite, not just through hearsay, but through really observable moves that the company made while they were public. And then when he decided to take it private again, all those people just got screwed. So, in my mind, that's not something that you can redeem yourself from. Francisco in the comments says, remember that Kemp was supposed to go do a deal at Rocket Lab for Planet Labs, and what he did was try to steal the idea and make his own small rocket. That's true. The other thing I recommend, if you haven't been in the community for a long time, go to HBO Max, and watch, what is it called? What's Ashley Vance's movie called?
Wild Space.
Wild Space. Yes,
Yeah.
watch that. And
Fantastic movie.
yeah, and it's kind of like along the lines of the book of When the Heavens Went on Sale. It's kind of like a really short version of it. So watch the movie first if you want, and then if you're interested, then definitely go on and read the book. But lots of great stuff in that movie. A lot of fun. We've all been, posting to Ashley Vance's feed often, like, when are you going to do part 2? So you can see how things ended up. But lots of great history there.
Yeah. Totally. And then one last thing on the interview that I want to mention is Adam Spice said that this interview, or this Iridium acquisition, could only be done because of how favorable the market was to Rocket Lab. And he said that it couldn't have been done like 6 months ago, and he doesn't think it could be done like let's say 2 years from now, because the actual spectrum band, which is finite and you can't print more of it, it would be so valuable that he said that that's the reason why they would not be able to do it in the future. And I actually thought that in a very, very small way, again, all the credit goes to Sir Peter Beck and his team and the execution, and the Muriel and Morgan and the girls there. But I'm like, in a small way, me and the whole Rocket Lab Weekly crew and you guys who are listening, because we brought a lot of attention to the company, we contributed to this, because I also feel that it's such a landmark deal. You know how Dave said that, like, I always wanted to invest in, he said it in a negative way, but he said that, like, I always wanted to invest in SpaceX, and then the SpaceX that now became public is not the SpaceX that I wanted to invest in, Yeah. And he said it in a negative way, but I'm like, okay, the Rocket Lab that we knew is kind of doesn't exist anymore. Like, this is a completely new Rocket Lab that is like a space superpower, that is profitable, that has its own band, has its own constellation satellite. Like, their plans have been accelerated, I don't know how many years. And again, I'm still processing it, because it's like they went like, step 1, step 2, and then now they went to step 15. Like, it was really a quantum leap.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Yeah, when I first started investing in Rocket Lab, it was a launch company, right, when they went public. And shortly after they went public, they acquired Solero and they acquired Synspective. And when I saw those acquisitions, it's hilarious to think about it now. But I thought to myself, they just went public. I really wish they would focus on becoming just really good at what they're supposed to do, which is launch, and then worry about adding all these products later. And yeah, well, that turned out to be like a huge misread, right? But as the vision has continued to be shared amongst the community and through Rocket Lab media relations, it's become quite apparent what the vision is, right? It wasn't just a launch company, it's the end-to-end space company. And Sir Peter Beck says it all the time, we want everything that goes to space to have Rocket Lab label on it. So no, I get it. And if it's one thing that I'm not worried about with this particular team, is their ability to expand and to make everything fit together, because they've shown that time and time again, they've done that successfully and they've been able to scale. So sometimes you worry about, especially, early companies getting too big, too fast, acquiring a lot of things that they can't quite put together. Like, Redwire, I think, is one example that comes to mind for me. It's like a conglomerate of a lot of different companies that, they threw together, and in the very beginning anyways, they had a really hard time kind of seeing how they fit in. I don't know where they're at now. I don't follow Redwire, but early in the days I used to, and I remember thinking that. I'm like, well, here's an example of a lot of things that got thrown together too quick, and it's going to take a while to figure out how they fit together and how to bring everybody under the same culture. But I don't see that. I don't see that with Rocket Lab. You know, I think we've heard time and time again, Sir Peter Beck say that they believe in, what is it, crawling, walking, and that running, right? So I think we're almost at the running pace here. Finally, that we've added this last acquisition or soon to be acquisition to the table. So yeah, I'm very excited. But you know, seeing the vision play out and seeing how all those parts fit together now, I think it's more obvious than ever. So if you're out there and wondering if this is a good company to invest in, like I said earlier, you know, nothing is for sure. Obviously, this is not financial advice, but this company is more de-risked than it's ever been. And I still believe that it's at a really good price, as you pointed out, you know, with the acquisition of Iridium and what that's going to bring to the table in terms of, you know, the bottom line. Those are all huge things. And I'm really excited about what we're going to see over the last 12 months. You know, early in the broadcast, you asked me about my origin story, and the whole emphasis behind, you know, me investing was trying to figure out how to create more wealth so I can send my girls to college. And, you know, thankfully, you know, we've reached that milestone. But aside from that, back then, thinking about Rocket Lab as an investment, again, a lot of risks there, and those risks aren't there now. I wish they would have been so de-risked then I could have tried to add more, but but if you're thinking about it now, I think it's a great price. And I don't look at the price. I just, as long as you, like you mentioned, as long as they're executing on the things they said they were going to do, and we have those great red days of greater than 10% like we had recently, you know, for as far as I'm concerned, there's no reason not to add.
Yeah. I actually completely agree. As I was speaking, I was also just thinking about it, that it's like for 10% dilution, they doubled their revenue. They went into, again, the space infrastructure, which is, I believe, again, many years ago. So this is for the new viewers. So they were saying that the Rocket Lab business, the TAM is like $5 billion, I think. And then they said that the space craft manufacturing is like $35 billion TAM. And then the space applications, like delivering services from space, was like $350 billion TAM. So like basically like 10x the value what the rocket launch and the spacecraft can do together. And I'm like, they entered that arena with a bunch of call options, because like Iridium had a book of ideas, they have a book of ideas. It's like basically super cheap for them to test out new ideas, and they're cash flow positive, like all of them in like one step. I'm like, and then again, if you were looking at Rocket Lab, like I was like, price wise, it's like you add the dilution. So okay, it's like they got 10% more expensive. So like, let's say if you were thinking 110, I would buy at 100, right? So with this move, it's like their price went up 10%, but their revenue doubled. They became profitable. So it's like the price actually halved, and we are at $100.
Yeah,
Like
I think we're going to see a little bit of people realizing that when we have the next earnings call. I think once the team presents all the numbers, and obviously I think a lot of the things with the acquisition can't be talked about. I mean, we can look at both. That's what's great about having both companies be public, right? You can see what Iridium has, you can see what we have, and you can do the math. So maybe there'll be a part where they kind of, do the math for us and show what it's going to look like, which is, great. Again, the acquisition hasn't happened yet, not all the way, but there's no reason for us to believe that it wouldn't happen. And, it's happening not that long from now, as I mentioned.
Yeah, so it's pretty interesting. I think I will make quite some tweets about this from different, because now I'm like looking at a different viewpoint. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say, because I think the market cap is around 40 billion. I'm actually going to check. What is the market cap? What is the market cap of a QLB.
There's a comment
So-
from Danny Gauthier 605. So people will realize in 2027. I think we will start to realize a lot sooner. I think not everybody like us has had a chance to digest this all the way and to start really looking at Rocket Lab in the whole scheme of things. I think that'll happen before 2027. I think between now and the time that we see the acquisition actually take place, I think we're going to see, people start to realize what this actually means.
Yeah. So look at it like this. So market cap is 60 billion, right? So they bought an L-band, which nobody has, and that value is a finite resource and is going up. So Adam Spice said that like EchoStar was bought for 17 billion by SpaceX, and that was, as far as I understand, only done for the spectrum.
Mhm.
And Amazon bought Globalstar, I think. I don't know the price, but that was also for the spectrum. So let's say, just hypothetically, that the spectrum in a few years is going to be worth $8 billion, like what they bought Iridium for. Okay, so that leaves you with $52 billion. And if Neutron is flying, I mean, how much would you have to pay? Like Matt makes this point, like how much would you have to pay to from zero create a rocket company that goes all the way to Neutron? Like I honestly, like it, I think you would have to pay like around $20-25 billion to set up a company like that. And then so now, like out of the 60 billion, we have, let's say we take away 25 and 8 billion, that's like 33. So we have 27 billion left. And that 27 billion, there is, cash. I think there was 2 billion cash. Okay, so you're down to 25 billion. So that 25 billion is the spacecraft business, all of Rocket Lab's future potential, all the new space infrastructures. Like, I mean, it's, I know it sounds crazy, but like the stock price is really not expensive at this point if you believe in this future. Like,
I agree.
Really not expensive.
I agree with you 100%. Do you have another thumbnail? This man's name has been up on the screen for like 10 minutes. I hate to think I'm giving him free publicity.
How do you mean, do I have another thumbnail?
I don't know. I just see Astra and this guy's name on there.
I'm sorry. Okay, I give you a much better one. Here you go. Here
Hey, that one's much better. That one's much better.
Cool. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny we have gone 1 hour already. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we did it. We did it alone. I didn't know that we were going to be able to support the whole hour by ourselves. Matt, Scott, Dave, they bring a lot of really great insight. We're sorry they couldn't make it with us today, but it's great. And it's 4th of July and I've been drinking. So I was like, ooh, I don't know how we're going to do this, but yay, we made it through the full hour.
You've been coherent the whole time. That's very good.
I have. I will rejoin the barbecue now, but this is great. It's great being able to chat with you and get to see a lot of the comments. And again, if you're new to the sector and you haven't followed us yet, follow us on X. All of us have our different channels. My channel doesn't have a lot of content, but it has a lot of historical content. I started to create content very early on because like I mentioned to Vince, I think we've all been trying to share the knowledge that we have and have more people become aware of the Rocket Lab story. And now Rocket Lab has become really good at sharing, their accomplishments and everything that's going on. So it's very exciting. But if you want some historical perspective, it's in there.
Awesome. Francisco is saying that
the Invictus Haze mission.
Yeah, that it completed, right?
Well, no, part 1 completed. I thought when Evan posted, the CEO of True Anomaly posted that it was complete, I'm like, it's done. So are we going to hear about the results soon? And he's like, no. He goes, the first mission was complete. So I guess when it started, I know we're going over on time here. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess when it started, I was kind of unsure who was the hunter and who was the one being hunted. I think I kind of thought that Rocket Lab was going to pursue, or the Puma was going to pursue the Jackal. But from his post, it kind of sounds like it was the other way. The Jackal was supposed to pursue the Puma, and then get close to it and take pictures and do all the things that it was going to do. So it sounds like that was successful. Part 2 is yet to be really described. There's a few articles out there that have been giving some really good information on Victus Haze, and lots of praise from different military personnel in terms of what the mission is accomplishing and what it's going to open up. I've mentioned previously, aside from the Capstone mission, I think this one is my second favorite one. I'm really enjoying it. I wish we had more updates and more like, day to day, this is what's happening, but I guess they can't really tell us, but I'm looking forward to when it wraps up.
Yeah, it's definitely a special mission. I like it also from many reasons. One is it's going to look very nice when they do the quarterly report. It was a very expensive launch.
Yeah. Well, I think if you have nothing further, I just wanted to wish everybody a happy 4th of July, happy 250th birthday, America. And again, I wore the most patriotic, Rocket Lab red, wine, blue shirt that I have. So thank you everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you. And see you guys next week.
All right.
May your sky stay blue and your stock stay green. See you guys.
Thank
Ciao,
you.
ciao.